October 25th, 1944, 06:45 a.m. The Philippine Sea, off the coast of Samar. The sun has just broken over the horizon, painting the Pacific in soft hues of pink and orange. On the bridge of the destroyer USS Johnston, the morning routine is underway. Sailors are sleepily finishing their coffee. The humid tropical air is still clinging to the steel bulkheads. To the men of the task unit known as Taffy 3, this is supposed to be the quiet sector. They are the backbenchers of the invasion. Their job is boring but necessary. Patrol the rear, hunt for submarines, and support the ground troops fighting on Leyte with their slow, converted merchant ships known as escort carriers or baby flat tops. These carriers are tin boxes, barely armored, carrying older planes. They are not built for a fleet engagement. Neither is the Johnston. She is a Fletcher-class destroyer, a tin can. She has no heavy armor. Her skin is so thin a rifle bullet could punch through it. She is a knife fighter designed to hunt subs, not trade blows with titans. But at 06:47, the peace is shattered by a sound that doesn't belong here. It is a low, rolling thunder, like a freight train passing through a tunnel, but it isn't coming from the sky. It is coming from the horizon. Suddenly, the ocean around the Johnston erupts. Massive columns of water, towering 200 feet into the air, bracket a fragile formation of carriers. But this water isn't white. It is green. It is yellow. It is purple. The sailors freeze, staring at the technicolor nightmare splashing down around them. They know what this means. Only the Imperial Japanese Navy uses dye-coated shells to help their gunners spot the fall of shot at extreme range. A lookout on the Johnston screams into the voice tube. He has spotted the source of the thunder. Cutting through the morning squall, emerging like monsters from a myth, are the distinct, towering pagoda masts of the Japanese center force. It is the main body of the Imperial fleet, and leading them is the Yamato. The Yamato is the largest, most heavily armed battleship ever built by human hands. She weighs 70,000 tons, 30 times the size of the Johnston. Her 18.1-inch guns can hurl a shell the weight of a Volkswagen Beetle over 20 miles. She is accompanied by the battleship Nagato, 6 heavy cruisers, and a swarm of destroyers. Admiral Kurita, commanding the Japanese force, peers through with his binoculars. He sees the silhouettes of American aircraft carriers. He sees the destroyers. In the confusion of the mist and the adrenaline of the ambush, Kurita makes a critical miscalculation. He assumes he has stumbled upon Admiral Halsey's massive Third Fleet. He thinks he is fighting the heavyweights. He orders general attack. On the bridge of the Johnston, Commander Ernest Evans watches the Leviathans turn toward his helpless carriers. Evans is not your typical naval officer. He is a barrel-chested man with a face carved from granite, proud of his Cherokee heritage. On the day the Johnston was commissioned, he told his crew, "This is going to be a fighting ship. I intend to go in harm's way, and anyone who doesn't want to go along had better get off right now." He knows the math. He knows the physics. The carriers of Taffy 3 have a top speed of 17 knots. The Japanese battleships can do 30. There is no running away. There is only time. Time that must be bought with blood. Standard doctrine says a destroyer should retreat to the flank, lay a smokescreen, and wait for orders. But Ernest Evans doesn't wait. He doesn't radio for permission. He doesn't hesitate. "Left full rudder," Evans barked. "All ahead flank." The helm spins. The Johnston shudders as her engines scream to maximum power. She leans hard into the turn, carving a white wake in the dark water. But she isn't turning away. While every other ship in the formation is scrambling to flee south, the USS Johnston, a single unarmored destroyer, turns 180 degrees and charges directly at the entire Japanese fleet. It is a suicide run, a charge so reckless, so aggressive, and completely insane that it defies every rule of naval warfare. But as Evans grips the railing, staring down the barrels of the Yamato, he knows one thing. He isn't going to survive this morning, but he is going to make sure the Japanese remember his name. The distance is closing fast. On one side, a steel wall of 23 Japanese warships weighing a combined 500,000 tons. On the other, a 2,100-ton destroyer smoking like a chimney skipping over the waves at 35 knots. It looks like a mosquito attacking a sledgehammer. Commander Evans orders the ship to make smoke. Thick, oily black clouds billow from the Johnston stocks, creating a curtain to hide the fleeing carriers. But Evans doesn't stay in the smoke. He punches through it, emerging into the sunlight, fully exposed, drawing every eye and every gun of the Japanese fleet. This is his plan. He is the distraction. He is the matador waving a red cape at a bull. The Japanese gunners on the heavy cruiser Kumano can't believe what they are seeing. They are used to American destroyers running away. They are not used to this. They adjust their aim. The water around the Johnston boils with incoming fire. 14-inch and 8-inch shells slam into the ocean, the concussions rocking the small ship so violently that sailors are thrown from their feet. Shrapnel rakes the decks like hail. But the Johnston is a lucky ship. She weaves and zigs, chasing the splashes of the enemy shells, an old sailor's trick, gambling that the enemy won't aim at the same spot twice. Evans holds his fire. He has 5-inch guns, but at this range, they would be like throwing pebbles at a tank. He needs to get closer. He needs to get within torpedo range. 10,000 yards. 14,000 yards. The Japanese cruisers are getting bigger. 12,000 yards. You can see the flashes of their secondary batteries. 10,000 yards. Fire! Evans roars. The Johnston unleashes everything she has. Her 5-inch guns erupt in a rapid-fire staccato, pumping out rounds every 4 seconds. They target the Kumano, the lead cruiser. It's a mismatch of comical proportions, but the Johnston's gunnery is supernatural. Hundreds of American shells hammer the Kumano's superstructure. They smash the bridge. They ignite fires. Then, Evans plays his ace. Fire torpedoes. 10 Mark 15 torpedoes splash into the water from the Johnston's tubes. They streak toward the enemy line, invisible underwater predators. Evans doesn't wait to see them hit. He whips the ship around, diving back into his own smokescreen to escape the inevitable retaliation. Moments later, a massive underwater explosion rocks the Kumano. The lead ship of the Japanese formation, a 13-ton cruiser, is crippled, dead in the water, burning. On the bridge of the Yamato, Admiral Kurita is stunned. He has just seen his lead cruiser taken out, but because of the smoke and because of the sheer ferocity of the attack, he makes a fatal assumption. He assumes he hasn't just been hit by a destroyer, he assumes he's been hit by a heavy cruiser. He thinks the Americans are counterattacking with capital ships. Kurita hesitates. Instead of pressing the attack and crushing the carriers, he orders his fleet to maneuver carefully. He is wary. He is looking for the trap. Inside the smoke, the Johnston is celebrating. The crew is cheering. They have bloodied the nose of the giant. But the celebration lasts exactly 3 minutes. As the Johnston emerges from the smoke, the battleship Congo finds the range. There is no warning. 3 14-inch shells, armor-piercing rounds designed to punch through battleship steel, slam into the Johnston. They pass straight through the unarmored ship like a needle through paper, punching holes in the hull before exploding. The engine room is a slaughterhouse. Steam lines burst, scalding men to death. The aft gun turret is blown overboard. The ship loses power to her steering engine and her rear guns. The Johnston shudders to a halt. She is burning. She is crippled. She is listing heavily to port. Speed has dropped to 17 knots. On the bridge, Commander Evans is hit. The blast shreds his shirt and blows 2 fingers off his left hand. Shrapnel is embedded in his chest. Most commanders would order abandoned ship. Most men would look at their ruined vessel, their dead crew, and the approaching battleships and say, "We did enough." But Ernest Evans drags himself to his feet. He wraps a handkerchief around his mangled hand. He looks at his steering officer. "All ahead, flank," he growls. The crew stares at him. The ship is half dead. "Sir, we're not done yet," Evans says, his voice cutting through the pain. "We're going to draw their fire." The Johnston doesn't retreat. It turns back toward the enemy. 0750 a.m. The killing zone. The Johnston is now a wounded animal, limping at half speed, trailing a plume of black smoke that marks her position for every gunner in the Japanese fleet. But Evans isn't just surviving. He is brawling. He steers his broken ship directly across the path of the enemy destroyers, intercepting them before they can launch torpedoes at the carriers. It is an act of supreme tactical brilliance. By placing his ship in the line of fire, he forces the Japanese to deal with him first. Without a working radar or fire control director, the Johnston's gunners are aiming manually. They are firing by eye. And they are hitting everything. They pump shells into a Japanese destroyer. They rake the superstructure of a battleship. They are firing so fast and so furiously that the Japanese commanders become convinced they are facing a new type of automatic weapon. Meanwhile, seeing the Johnston's suicidal bravery, the other little wolves of Taffy 3 join the fight. The destroyers Hull and Heermann and the tiny destroyer escort Samuel B. Roberts charge out of the smoke. It creates a scene of total chaos. To Admiral Kurita, standing on the bridge of the massive Yamato, the situation is incomprehensible. American destroyers are swarming him like angry hornets. They are zigzagging between his battleships, launching torpedoes, firing guns, and dropping smoke. Kurita's formation breaks. His heavy cruisers, terrified of torpedo hits, turn away to comb the tracks. His battleships are forced to maneuver wildly to avoid collisions. The pristine, disciplined Japanese line disintegrates into a confused mob. And in the center of it all, refusing to die, is the Johnston. Evans has moved his command to the fantail, the rear of the ship, because the bridge is destroyed. He is shouting orders through an open hatch to the men manually cranking the rudder. He is bleeding through his uniform. He's holding his severed fingers, but he is calm. He spots a Japanese heavy cruiser, the Haguro, closing in on the escort carriers. Evans orders an attack. Think about that for a second. A crippled destroyer with no torpedoes left, half her guns destroyed, and one engine working, attacks a heavy cruiser 5 times for size. The Johnston closes to 6,000 yards. She pours fire into the Haguro. The Japanese return fire, their 8-inch shells smashing into the Johnston superstructure, tearing off the mast, destroying the radio shock. But the Haguro turns away. The Japanese captain, unnerved by the aggression, assumes the Johnston must have more torpedoes. He breaks off his attack on the carriers to engage the crazy American destroyer. Evans has bought another 10 minutes for the fleet. But the clock is running out. By 0930 a.m., the Johnston is a wreck. She has been hit by 3 14-inch shells, dozens of 6-inch shells, and countless smaller rounds. She is dead in the water. Her guns are silent because there is no power to turn them and no ammunition to load. The Japanese destroyers close in for the kill. They circle the dying ship like sharks. Commander Evans gives the only order he has left: abandon ship. The survivors scramble over the railings, jumping into the oil-slicked water. They paddle away from the hull, waiting for the final blow. It comes. A Japanese destroyer closes to within 1,000 yards and pumps round after round into the waterline. The Johnston rolls over. As she begins to sink, stern first, a strange thing happens. The Japanese destroyer that fired the fatal shots sails slowly past the wreckage. The American sailors in the water look up, expecting to be machine-gunned. It was common practice in the Pacific War. Instead, they see the Japanese captain standing on the wing of his bridge. He is not smiling. He is not cheering. He is saluting. He stands at attention,
honoring the ship that just fought him to a standstill. As the bow of the Johnston slips beneath the waves, taking Commander Evans with her, the enemy acknowledges the undeniable truth. They have just fought the bravest ship in the world. But the Johnston's sacrifice has done something even more important than save the sailors in the water. It has broken Admiral Kurita's mind.